Yatsevaya Bhagavata Utastasya Madhusha Ratiraso Bhavetira Yatseva Bhagavata Yatsevaya Bhagavata Utastasya Madhusha Ratiraso Bhavetira Yatsevaya Bhagavata Utastasya Madhusha Ratiraso Bhavetira Yatsevaya, so yat, to whom, Sevaya, by service, Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead, Kutastasya, of the unchangeable, highly ecstatic, Adayo, of the feet, Vyasa, Vyasana, distresses, Ardana, vanquishing. Translation incorporated by His Divine Grace, ACM By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the man-demon, in whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. Purport. The association of a bona fide spiritual master like the sage Maitreya can be of absolute help in achieving transcendental attachment for the direct service of the Lord. The Lord is the enemy of the Madhu demon, or in other words, he is the enemy of the sufferings of his pure devotee. The word Rati Rasa is significant in this verse. Service to the Lord is rendered in different transcendental mellows, relationships: neutral, active, friendly, parental, and nuncio. A living entity in the liberated position of transcendental service to the Lord becomes attracted to one of the above-mentioned mellows, and when one is engaged in transcendental service to the Lord, one's service, attachment, 259, Rasa Varjam Raso Vyasya Param Drishtva Nivartate. In verse, Yatsevaya Bhagavata Utastasya Madhudvisha Rati Raso Bhavet Tivra Padayor Vyasanardana. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distress. Magyana Divinandasya Nanjana Shalakana Chakshu Nritanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama This verse is directly glorifying what a great benefit we can achieve by associating and serving spiritual master. There are many verses from the Shastra which are describing this, like for example we have this famous verse, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sanghi, Sarva Siddhi Hai. Just by a very little opportunity of association with a sadhu, truly elevated saintly personality, one can achieve complete perfection. So we have these famous verses generally we quote every morning on National Prayer. So these famous verses, they are starting with the verse
Syanmat Sevaya Vipra. Metitani Sevaya.
Sevaya, Mahat Sevaya, serving the Mahat, the great personalities. It can bring great taste and happiness in the spiritual life. Also, by the association of such great personalities, one can truly understand Vedic knowledge, and he can get a positive knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just a knowledge who God is not, but rather who is God. That he is a person, that we can have personal relationships with him, that we can render service unto him according to his likings and dislikings. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata gurau tasyaite kartita hyarta prakashante mahatmana. There is his devotion to his deity, to the Supreme Lord, tata gurau. If he has the same unflinching and strong devotion to Guru, then the whole knowledge of the Vedic scriptures becomes automatically revealed in his heart. Tasyaite katita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. So, to serve spiritual master and to serve elevated Vaishnavas is a great good in our life. We can see in this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, which is a very important book for us. It's one of the main books that describe practically how we are performing devotional service. When Sri Rupa Goswami is describing the angas of bhakti, or the different limbs or activities in the process of devotional service, first three of them, they are all directly connected to the spiritual master. Without this, practically, we cannot start our process of devotional service. First principle in the practice of Bhakti Yoga, the practice of sadhana bhakti, is Adau Guru Padashraya. First thing is one should take shelter in the lotus feet of Guru, someone who is very dear to Krishna. Otherwise, we can serve Krishna, we can chant Hare Krishna Mantra, and we will get some benefit out of it, but it is not the same. It is not the same like to serve someone who is already very, very, very dear to Krishna. This is the system, this is the method, this is the proper way to do it. Adau Guru Padashraya, this is the first step in the spiritual life. And then the serious disciple should accept initiation from the spiritual master, and then he should try to serve very sincerely in a surrender manner to the spiritual master. Then his devotional practice will start in the best way, in the proper way. And also, like we know, the spiritual master is one, but he is appearing in our life, in the life of a disciple, in a different ways. Like now we have different kinds of spiritual masters. Can we say some of them? Something is coming in the mind. What are different kinds? Father, mother, they are considered guru. Yes, they are one kind of guru. Else, what else? The spiritual master that is giving this initiation, he is known as Diksha Guru. And who is giving us instructions? Shiksha Guru. And the spiritual master who is the first devotee who helped us to start spiritual path, he is known as Vardhana production, so Pata production, who is showing you the proper path. Yes, and the Guru in the heart, who is and the Shiksha Guru, they are generally the most important in the life of a disciple. Why? Because the Diksha Guru, he is connecting the devotee officially with the Guru Parampara. He becomes officially part of the Parampara. And the Shiksha Guru, he is all the time guiding by proper instructions the disciple. Of course, the Diksha Guru may be also a Shiksha Guru. He can get advice from different senior devotees and accept them as his Shiksha Gurus. So there are a few interesting words used in this verse. One of them is Tivra, the word Tivra. Tivra, we can find this word in one very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, from 2nd canto. Bhakti Yogina Yajata Purusham Param. So this verse is explaining that no matter if we are completely purified or we have desires to achieve impersonal liberation, or we have desires to enjoy material world, the best thing that one can do is to start devotional service to Krishna, Bhakti Yogina. And this devotional service should be Tivrana, Tivra Bhakti. Tivra, Acharyas are explaining, sometimes this word Tivra is used for the ray of sunlight, because it's like a very exact, like a ray of laser. It's very exact. So the idea is that our devotional service should be Tivra Bhakti, should be very fixed, and we should have one goal in our mind. And this is to give pleasure to Krishna. And the example that is given for someone who is doing Tivra Bhakti in Bhagavatam is Kardama Muni. Why he's given as an example? Because Kardama Muni was performing he was very elevated personality. We know that from the fact that Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as his son. So he has to be a very special person. Still, when he was performing his devotional service, he was conscious that at that time in his heart, there was also a material desire, or he wanted to get married. That was his desire inside. But he, like now, in this situation, he had a choice. He could do two things. One thing is
he could start making personally arrangement to fulfill this desire. Like, okay, I want to get married. Okay, let me just finish with this job here in the forest and go to the city and just find a suitable girl and start working, make money, and just, start the real life. But then, although he had this desire, he did not do so. Rather, he had full faith that if he continues performing his spiritual practice, if this thing should happen, if it's beneficial for him, Krishna will make arrangement for him. So in no way he make a change in his spiritual practice because of his material desire. And this verse is explaining the same thing, that no matter if you have material desires or you have desires to achieve liberation or you are totally pure, anyway, you have to be very much fixed in devotional service. And even if you feel there is something else in your mind, don't worry. Just be completely fixed in your devotional practice. If really you have to experience this, Krishna will make some arrangements for you, as in the case of Kardama Muni. So Tivra Bhakti means complete determination that no matter what's going on in my mind, no matter what kind of desires I have, I will not divert my attention to this. Krishna and devotional service will stay the first and most important thing in my life. And we know from the life of Srila Prabhupada, he's sharing that when he was going through the commentaries of the Acharyas on Bhagavad Gita, when he came to this famous verse, Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kuru Nandana, he read the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was explaining how the disciple should be so fixed, he has to accept the desire of his guru as his life and soul, like the most important thing in his life. And when Srila Prabhupada, he's sharing for himself, when I read this purport, I became very enthusiastic from this, especially this comment on Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And we can see practically this going on in the life of Srila Prabhupada. He was totally dedicated in the service of his guru, in fulfilling the desire of his guru, and everything else was secondary. Basically, in his life, there was no secondary. There was only one thing in his mind: how to fulfill the desire of his guru Maharaj. I remember a lecture of Srila Prabhupada in which he was explaining that we just have to get instruction from Guru, order from Guru. And if we execute that, this is success. And particularly in this lecture, Srila Prabhupada is saying, that's why I'm stressing so much. Where is book? Where is book? Where is book? And then he's saying, so please kindly help me. Print as many books as possible on as many languages and distribute them all over the world. And in this way, the Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase. So we see how fixed was Srila Prabhupada on fulfilling the desire, the order of his Guru Maharaj. And this should be the essence of the life of the disciple. Disciple should try to understand what is the desire of his spiritual master and try to fulfill that. And just the strong motivation and strong desire disciple to fulfill the order of his guru makes the guru already very willing to give blessings to his disciple. Other interesting word in this verse is the word Madhudvisha. Krishna is known as Madhudvisha, and we know that also in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is approaching Krishna in this way, addressing him as the killer of the demon Manu, Madhusudana. Krishna is known as Madhusudana. Why Krishna is addressing him Arjuna is addressing Krishna in this way? He's trying to say to Krishna, Krishna, you are the killer of the Madhu demon. So in the same way, you can kill my demoniac doubts. I have all these doubts in my mind. So because you are so expert in killing demons, my doubts, they are like demons. So please address them, kill them, free me from my doubts. That's why Krishna is addressed as Madhu Sudana or Madhu Dvisha. And then also we have the word Rati Rasa, that by serving the spiritual master, by serving of the feet of the spiritual master, one is engaged, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead. So immediately, very fast, one develops a rati or a rati rasa, taste for serving Krishna. Generally, we know in order to advance in spiritual life, we are following the process of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And if we are doing this properly under the guidance of the spiritual master, the result from this will be that we will continue doing devotional service for Krishna, but already we will have taste, very deep taste to do this. So this taste is known as rati, rasa. And it's achieved very fast by the special mercy of the spiritual master. There are different things that are helping us to advance fast in the spiritual life. And one of them is putting special endeavors to fulfill the desires of the spiritual master. Then very fast one is making spiritual advancement. Other such things that are helping us to advance very fast in the spiritual life are following the Ekadashi, or fasting on the days of appearance of Krishna. Madhavatiti Bhakti Janati. To perform this fast helps the devotee to make very fast spiritual advancement. And also worshipping Tulasi Devi. Tulasi Devi is known as Bhakti Pradaini. She can give very fast bhakti. So these things, they are like shortcuts in spiritual life. If we are doing them, we can make very fast spiritual advancement. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that one can develop different relationships with Krishna, and he's mentioning neutral, active, friendly, parental. So it's very interesting that the dasya, or the service as a servant to Krishna, here is mentioned as active relationship with Krishna. Why? Because generally the neutral relationship with Krishna is not active. The devotee, he is enjoying the beauty of Krishna. He is enjoying the form of Krishna, but he is not ready to start actively doing something for Krishna. So when we accept the idea that we are servants of Krishna, then we start doing active devotional service for Krishna. And this is a very important point for our spiritual life, because we have to be active in devotional service. While we are performing our devotional service, we should try to be always engaged in some kind of activity for the pleasure of Krishna. In this way, we will advance faster. If we are active, it will be better. If we are not so active in devotional service, the more we are active in devotional service, the better result will be. And then, what kind of devotional service we have to do? What kind of activities in the realm of bhakti? Well, generally it is advised devotee to engage according to his nature. Why? Because if we are doing something according to our nature, it will be easier for our mind to be concentrated in the activity that we are doing, and it will be easier to experience taste in the spiritual life. So if we engage in things that we like to do in devotional service, it's easier. That's why it is important that we find different things in the practice of bhakti that we like to do. We have to find something that we like to do, at least one activity. We can like to make kirtan, or cook for the deities, or be a pujaris and worship the deities, or distribute books, or help in the producing of transcendental literature, serving the Vaishnavas, reading Bhagavatam. We should find something in spiritual life that we really like to do. It's not, I'm doing it because I'm a devotee and I know devotees, they are doing this thing. No, I'm doing it because I like to do it. Then our mind will be spontaneously attracted by something in Krishna consciousness. And from this thing, lots of taste will come, juice, rasa. And we need this in our spiritual life, because if we feel the sweetness of the spiritual life, then we'll be very happy, fulfilled in our spiritual practice. That's why it's important to find something in bhakti that we like to do, and then do it. And of course, we could say like two kinds of devotional service. Like one kind is things that we like to do in the practice of bhakti, but also we may have some practices of bhakti that we don't like to do. Still, we have to do these activities, these practices, just for the pleasure of Krishna. And actually, this is even higher. If we are doing something just for the pleasure of Krishna, this is even higher platform. Like Srimati Radharani, the greatest devotee of all, she is saying, if I see that by doing something that I don't like, this will give pleasure to Krishna, actually this unhappiness in my life becomes my greatest happiness. So this should be the way of thinking of a devotee. Even I don't like to do something, let me do it just I know that it will give pleasure to the devotees, or it will give pleasure to Krishna. So let me do it because of that, no matter if I like it or not. This even higher stage in the devotional service of bhakti. But of course, we have to make some good combination out of these two, so that we feel ourselves happy and fulfilled in our devotional practice. And sometimes we have to jump to the practice of the great Vaishnavas, the way how they are doing it, or in other words, to do it just because Krishna wants it, or just because some Vaishnava wants it. I remember one time I asked one spiritual master at the end of the class, so what we have to do? Do we have to engage in activities that we don't like, or we have to engage in activities in bhakti that we like? And his answer was, well, generally, we have to engage in the activities in bhakti that we like. But sometimes, if the spiritual master wants from us to do something that we may not like, still we have to do it, just for his pleasure, just to satisfy him. So our bhakti should be some mix of these two things. And then, if we continue doing this, then gradually we will develop our love to Krishna. And once we develop our love for Krishna, then there'll be like, we won't care what kind of activities we are doing. If we like them or we don't like them, we'll start liking everything, because everything is connected with Krishna. Like if you have a love for some person, you start liking everything which is connected with the person. So in the same way, the moment we develop our love to Krishna, we will start automatically liking everything which is connected with Krishna. In one purport from Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that in the beginning of stages of bhakti, devotee, he develops taste for the activities of devotional service. And in the later stage of bhakti practice, devotee develops love for Krishna. And then automatically he is happy in every sphere of action in the realm of bhakti. Thank you very much for your attention. Hare Krishna. Some comments, Maharaj, if you would like to say something.
The gurus, that Bhakti Charumarth said, the more advanced one comes, and the more Shiksha gurus he has. Until you get to the point like that Brahmin it's in the 11th canto,
Avanti Brahma.
had 26 gurus or something.
Yes.
You learn from everybody. Not necessarily that they're telling you do this or you do that, but you see, Prabhupada said, I have many gurus. Said it more than once. I remember the time I heard it. He the class was full and it became so silent. Prabhupada paused for some time and he said, my disciples.
Wow.
It was really that, because that was his Mahabhagavad, Uttamadhikari. He really saw it that way. He just saw, my job is to act like a guru, but actually I'm learning from him. And when we preach, we learn, we see how it works and we learn. And the book distributors have many Bhartma production of disciples. Be careful with them.
Yes, yes.
Right? So many every day you introduce to Krishna.
Yes.
They get a lot of benefit. If any of them take it up and whatever they do, they read the book or they come to the temple, you get benefit. And that's like multi-level marketing, but it goes on, there's no end to it. It's not like when you get down 5 from then you don't get it anymore. You always get it. If they preach to somebody and then you get benefit.
Yeah. Like on Sankirtan, you have so many incidents connected with this. For example, you're distributing books on some place and it's not working. And then suddenly, like the next person that you stop, he's saying, what are you doing here? It's not a good place for you. Just go next street. And then now the question is, are you going to listen to this? Are you going to accept this as your guru? Or you just say, what do you know about transcendental book distribution? I'm distributing books 20 years. Just leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. As Maharaj was saying, we can learn from everybody. Yes.
Thank you very much for giving class. I really appreciate you being up there, Vyasa-san. I have a question. So how does a neophyte, because it's interesting in the neophyte stage, we want to be happy. We want to be happy always. And I'm learning that that's just not something that happens. How does one get through the muck, through those days that are hard, like some days doing devotional service is so fulfilling and so happy. And then other days it just feels like work. How do we remember the lotus feet of Krishna when we're feeling like we don't want to serve him anymore?
Well, from my personal experience, what I can say, the first things that are coming to my mind is in a difficult moments. Like for me, it was helpful. One thing very helpful is to read, because when you read, when you spiritualize your intelligence, your vision is also spiritualized, and then you start perceiving the situation from a different perspective, from a spiritual perspective. So it's the same job, the same work you're doing, but if you're going to see it as devotional service or as just ordinary work, it depends on your consciousness. Mm-hmm. So this is one thing that very much helped me. Other thing is just go to some devotee and complain. Just say, Prabhu, today I feel very bad. I don't have any enthusiasm. What to do? And generally devotees, they're like mothers. They will immediately embrace and say, you don't worry, come with me. Let's take some prasadam. Everything will be all right. So immediately the hour mood changes, the situation changes. Just look for association of devotees. Yes.
Yeah, like that happens to everybody. If you're working a job or, say someone who's trying to become a sports champion, they have to practice. They hate it sometimes. Muhammad Ali said, I hated training,
Well,
but I knew if I did it, then I could be the champion. So I did it. So if we really somehow catch on at what the goal is, then we'll keep going. Just like people go to work, I need the money. So no matter how they're sick or depressed or, they hate the boss, they go to work. And some days they like it. Some days everything goes good. So if we really understand the value of what the result will be, then we'll keep going, even though sometimes it's, rough road. Right? It's not always easy. Not always easy. There's so many philosophers, religionists, everybody talks about this a lot because that's the way it is. You have to have faith. Krishna will help you. Hare Krishna, hang on, hang on to the beads. I'll give you this to read. This is Kadamba Kana Maharaj. What should we do when we become depressed?
So if I can maybe ask a question on that too. So what if we don't have a spiritual goal? Because it seems that, they're talking about like going back to Godhead or being a perfect servant of Krishna. But really my goal doesn't seem to be either of those things, where I just want to be on maybe like some platform where I can serve Krishna. Because right now I feel that the service I do for the devotees and for Krishna is for myself. I feel like it is selfish. So I'm trying to learn how to really not serve myself and how to serve others. How do we do that if we don't have a goal?
Haraj, would you like to answer?
You have a goal. You just said you had a goal. But you can't help it if you serve others. Krishna's going to pay you back.
Like a lot of times she said no.
No, but you don't do it for that reason. But you can't. Krishna will give you back more than you give him. Then you get inspired to give him more again. That's supposed to be like a contest, Not that you just think I'm going to suffer and help someone else. But Krishna will always reward. But sometimes he takes his time. He wants to see if you really want it or not. Always he takes it, And there's a saying, hard to get. You don't value it. Then if you don't get it, the next time you get really upset. Why isn't Krishna giving me what I want? Yeah.
That's okay.
I just would like to come back on the previous point. You mentioned about seeing Guru in every Sankirtan. Someone maybe says like, "Hey, well, why you not go there? That's better." So I've done this a few times, but it didn't turn out to be better. So how do you know if it is actually coming from a point of like, he being a guru in that case or not? Like, how can you distinguish this?
It's a good question. Or just check it out. Try, and you'll see sometimes it's not working, but sometimes it's working. I had at least few cases on Sankirtan. Someone is advising me something, and you try. It won't cost you so much. Just try. Like for example, practically on Sankirtan, you stay in one place, and anyway, your Sankirtan is not going very well in this place, so what's the problem to go on the next place and try it out? You will not lose out of it. But we can see, like in the personal life of Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Prabhupada is saying about this case where he was actually into producing his magazine, Back to Godhead, and this person came to him and told him, why don't you start producing books, because people will value them more. And Srila Prabhupada immediately, he took it like sign of Krishna, like sign of his Guru Maharaj. He didn't say, what do you know about producing? Have you ever produced books or something like that? Who are you to give me an advice? I know much better. No, he immediately took it like, wow, okay, this is Krishna is speaking to this person. Yes, of course. Or the case when Srila Prabhupada went to this doctor and he was even a little bit drunk. And he just asked Srila Prabhupada, so you're a monk? Srila Prabhupada said, yes. So whole day you're just praying? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes. And the doctor said, well, exactly this is your problem. You have to walk more. You have to move every day. And Srila Prabhupada immediately took it. Okay, Krishna is speaking. And immediately after that, he started making his walks every day. So it's good if we try to see everything as the hand of Krishna. Even if sometimes he's not, it's good for us to see it in this way, because this means we are in Krishna consciousness. Let's try to see that everything is arrangement of Krishna. Of course, if someone comes and tell you, oh, do you have a strong faith in God if you have jumped from like some skyscraper? Well, then we shouldn't do.
If someone thinks,
Why don't you
look for a real job?
Well,
When we
because I'm working for the richest guy in the whole universe. What a better job can get from this? Like, Krishna is the top of the top. Yes.
I guess one thing kind of related, and then I have my own question. When you were saying, when someone gives you advice, you can react. Is it, a guru within them or God is within them?
Sorry, can you take just the mask
Yeah,
for
I
short
can.
time?
I can, no problem. I think regardless of whether or not you heed someone's advice, one spiritual thing that's good is, one battle we have as humans is always against aham or arrogance or, ego. And so regardless of whether that person is right or not, your choice to take it with humility or namrata, I think is very reflective of everyone. And one of the biggest problems with spirituality is people get so caught up in whatever path, they say Guru Marg or, Hare Krishna, Swaminarayan, Islam, whatever, Buddhism. And they think that if this person's not on my path, then they must be wrong. Or I think you miss things sometimes when you become so devoted. That's always been one of my fears, of always ascribing to one thing. But my question is kind of related to my own question when you talk about, fulfilling material desires versus a spiritual path. And sometimes when you take an extreme, it's easier to say, like, I will live in an ashram, sadhvi, like I'll become sadhvi and take diksha and do this. And each faith has that kind of alternative. But I think my question is, how does it relate to the modern world? Or is it just that you try to subsist and, provide enough so you can just feed yourself and exist, but you want to, within, for example, Hare Krishna, be doing your job, as much as you can and do your have, and is praying to Krishna gonna help resolve like the opioid crisis, or like teaching to kids who are under resourced? And I had this problem, even I used to go to Buddhist meditation at Duke, and I used to feel like, if you spend 4 hours meditating, it can really help you on an eightfold path. But how, I don't know. I think in a way, in my heart, I value the bhakti of like a teacher working in inner city Philadelphia, who may not be making the most amount of money and doesn't pray, 4 hours a day, but her or his bhakti is, working with those kids. And I struggle personally and globally understanding in a modern world how I'm struggling so much to even say my question correctly. Yeah.
How spirituality is practical for the modern lifestyle of the people. Like that?
Or maybe even to how deep spirituality can fit. So during Mahabharata, they had different concepts of dharma, and Arjun was dealing with killing his own guru, and everything is kind of a story.
Okay.
And yeah,
I got it. Well, this is a very serious question, and I feel I'm a little bit pressed because we are already over time. So I'll maybe just say something short, but after that, if you like, we can just continue talking, discussing this point. So what I want to say is that externally the world changes, but actually the basic of the world is the same. People are doing the same things and they are following the same laws of nature, the same laws of universe. So these things are not changing. And that's why from this perspective, what is working spiritually is also not changing. Like the spiritual laws, or as you said, dharma, they don't change. They are the same. Like to be a good person 5,000 years ago or now is the same concept. And the people will treat you in the same way if you are a good person or if you are a bad person. I mean, nowadays it's a little bit more difficult, but generally this concept exists that we should be a good people. Or let's say, are you cheating? Are you lying? Are you killing? These fundamental concepts, they are still there nowadays as well as they were like 5,000 years ago. And like to what extent the spirituality can help for the practical things in life? Well, I would say both directly and indirectly spirituality can help a lot. Why? Directly because if we have this strong faith and conviction that just by performing spiritual activities Krishna will take care of everything, then this will start happening because Krishna is in control. Krishna is the person who is controlling the whole world. So if we satisfy him, everybody else will be automatically satisfied. There is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that is saying, Yata taror mulani shechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujopasaka pranopaharachayatindriyanam tataiva sarvarhanam achyuteja. If we are watering the root of the tree, automatically all the branches, the leaves, they get their nourishment. And if we are giving the food to the stomach, automatically the whole body gets its nourishment. So in the same way, if we give pleasure to Krishna, who is the root of the whole existence, automatically all the living entities, they will be happy and satisfied, and they will get everything that they need. This is the Vedic system. And as well as directly, also spirituality can help indirectly. Why? Because generally a spiritual person means a good conduct, good character, good qualities. And these kind of people, they will help the things to get in a better direction in the world. Like, for example, if you have a teacher to teach the kids, which teacher will be better teacher? The person who is smoking, who is drinking, who is speaking very roughly, or the person who is with a very refined character and good qualities? Of course, the kids, they will see his character, how he's acting, and they will immediately pick up all these things. So directly and indirectly, spiritual life is very important for like the way how the society is functioning, even nowadays. But we can speak more after that if you like. Thank you very much for your attention. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Brahmanandi.
Tulasi Prabhu ki jai. Oh, she's not.
I thank you, brothers.
Very great question at the end. That question you would do